The glory days of Washington football.
Where's Ricky Sanders?
Gibbs, Riggins, the Hogs.
I'm going to Disney World!
DC had a football dynasty under the ownership of Jack Kent Cooke.
I'm thinking about the next Super Bowl because this is such a well-balanced, cohesive, coordinated team. I think that we've got an excellent chance of contending for the Super Bowl next year also.
Superstar players, winning Super Bowls, and rabid fans rocking RFK.
Someone always said if a fan ever gets the team, we're in deep stuff.
On May 25th of 1999, 34-year-old Dan Snyder paid $800 million to acquire Washington's football team after the death of previous owner Jack Kent Cooke.
I originally was going alone for the Washington Redskins, and he said, listen, I'm very friendly with Howard and Eddie, and why don't you meet the Milstein brothers?
Snyder was initially part of a group including real estate mogul Howard Milstein.
We have the right to determine who the owners in the National Football League are, and that we're not operating a business where you just come in on the basis of a high bid.
We thank them for everything they've done, and we made our statement, and we're hoping to hear from them soon.
But after that bid was withdrawn, Snyder found new partners. He also sold his communications company, borrowed $340 million from a French bank, and assumed a $155 million debt on the team's stadium.
You know, I went to my first game in 1971, and this is my lifelong passion, and I'm fulfilling my dream and opportunity of a lifetime. This is the best.
Snyder's takeover brought a shift in the coming years, not for the better. 2 months after the ownership change, general manager Charlie Casserly, who was part of Washington's 3 Super Bowl wins, resigned. His replacement, Vinny Serrato, who proved ineffective during his time in D.C. Coaches were hired, coaches were fired. The legendary coach was rehired. More coaches came and went. On the field, the team has struggled in Snyder's tenure. Just 2 playoff wins since he took over as owner in 1999.
I'm a delegator. I'm not an individual that gets so hands-on I tie everybody up. So I'm going to focus on getting the right football people in place to help out the right business people in place and make the decisions at the top level and give them the autonomy, the power to make it happen. And then I'm going to put the pressure on them to make sure it happens every day.
And as glaring as the lack of success has been under Snyder, it's been the scandals and controversy that will heavily stain this era. In 2018, the New York Times reported on an alleged topless photo shoot involving the team's cheerleaders. In 2020, 2 bombshell reports from the Washington Post on the toxicity of the Washington workplace, including bad behavior by Snyder himself.
We've heard as a market, as a fan base, as whatever, journalists, next to nothing from Dan Snyder. There would be the occasional press release, this is a hatchet job, a witch hunt, and then he'd pivot and say, I take full ownership, or I just wasn't aware, it's now a model workplace. So there's this kind of caroming from contrition to quasi-ownership of it to attacking the Washington Post and his own employees.
Also, in 2020, an investigation was launched into workplace conduct, one that would result in the NFL fining the team $10 million, with Snyder stepping away from day-to-day operations. And after years of calls to change the offensive team name, after Snyder famously said that would never happen, and under pressure from sponsors, the team announced the name would finally be changed. And then it was changed again. Back to the investigation that revealed a toxic workplace culture. The written results have yet to be released. In addition, Congress launched its own probe, as did DC's Attorney General. There's also been the bungling of marquee events, issues with FedEx Field, and struggles to find a deal for a new stadium. The Snyder era has come to an end. As for the fans that are left hoping a new owner can bring this once storied franchise back to a prominent place in the National Football League. JP Finley, News 4 Sports.